Today I am bestowing the empowerment for the Vajrasattva, the offering ritual to Guru Vajrasattva.
Chidangayang around the Wang Shumanu and over the Wang second degree may Hamako and the Rare Mongoy and the Cover, the Tindikan, Wang second degree metan, in a Wang Shun at Bakari metan, Tizukitoni, Dosaji, Mashipaina, Dos Mindigre Samne, Dignity Dos shape you 3 shillings.
The empowerment manual I'm using contains a brief explanation of the empowerment. Most of you here have probably received many tantric empowerments already in the past and probably are quite well versed in empowerment. You're probably familiar with the process of empowerment, what it means and so on. It's possible and likely that there are some new students here though who haven't received empowerment and who aren't so familiar. And generally when new students are being given tantric empowerment, then it's important to explain actually the process of empowerment, what empowerment means, what are the benefits and so on. So I will try and do that a little bit now.
Randa Shenton, Potume Pacheco was in a Semjan Tamje, and Lama Shas Obergo, Doji, Simbiki Shinto, Tenem Sam, Semjan Jungo Barjabo, Ryan, Tene Lama Doji, Simbiki Tene, took it to Balatene, Tene, Ryan, Tene Sanki, Copana Puchitubo, Nyabigi, Ranshin Semjan Tamji, Potum Mebrajo, Nyabigoni, Tene Wang Shikiti, Kumontilagores.
Generally speaking, whenever receiving empowerment, one must do so with the motivation of bodhicitta, the heart of awakening, or the mindset on enlightenment. This means that in this specific context, I'm bestowing the empowerment and you're receiving the empowerment of the offering ritual to Guru Vajrasattva. So in this case, our motivation should be, I will now receive this empowerment and having received it, put it into practice, in order that I may establish myself and all mother sentient beings who are limitless in number as the expanse of space, at the level of perfect enlightenment, the state of Guru Vajrasattva himself, and his pure realm, his enlightened pure realm of great delight. So I'm receiving this empowerment so that I can establish all sentient beings at that state, and also establish that state, the enlightened state of Vajrasattva, for myself as well.
Tindikan Lama the Tsini Tsongwa the Tsini Tine, Rapiding Tassum Doji, Yeshe, Tangaranzo, Kitchen of the Sunda, and Chimailing the Sontan, Tine, that the Lumen was in Jigdrel, she told Jacket, Negason Sola, around the Shisha and Shepaina. The Ravina Munigi in a Chopa, the Mega Tombo, Lama and Gurun Bachendao, Oya Tetigit and Chunigit, and also Tonting Lama, and take one some pins at it, in a time, Telaranzo. Jigdrel Devanat in a Tagun Yonsu Chopa, Tagun, and a Tawa, the Kana, Nari Tanjam Tadam, Magusha, Tanyam, then by Yelmigetawa, Dodema, Tinecorba, only get in Jeta, Tene, Dela, Tene, Gombas, the Kawan, Yamlin, Jashbo, or at the Tanyam, then they get Devatanya, then by the Yelmigetawa, want to shoot you, then a song yet of Tawan Kurgandi, the Letico was it. Tenet in the Majona. Nibatelayan tene, one Satuki or Yatene, or the Rinzin number G, Conrum of taking it out, and I mean Rinzin is a let the game. I have Tabum Yonsu of Batanium, then by Yermikitawa, Yamin, Janet, Kumbaya or Tumbo taking. Tangaram to say it's a shen, the Satan bullet taken to Indy, and the one could get it. That how much is Sheba nothing, Chingonege, with the Digita Gonsangi, Gobato, Dansatan, Wolle, Chuniki, the Batua, Dansangi, Gobanto, Matoma, Chuniki, the Bamatua, the Digit Tamati, you won't get any good Lami checking the country go to Servanjo, then one egg lamb dilla, David, the necro of Maranzana. Oh, yeah, the name of Sandeva, some of Sandeva, into the nature of Sandegi. Tindagic tending over, but you can order holiday and Tambo to be checking, so in your marriage, you will check in your marriage, you get them baton in the order. Satan book a total to it, and dance on my ship and Kazaka, they want a curtigure. Titi in the content, Nara, Canabala, wonder could you get checking chisel, checking the way, not dorsing, never have to catch you, no, per me. Logic getting was something like an angle, person get some number. Oh, Dorje sending Yambam Boomshi, Boomna, the Nessadum Boom Jutanga. No, I did in the town, the Lord, dear Chopa town, do the Jenny, Carrot, or Transition, the Tilamanga town, what a chocolate town in Yamarilla. They turned near around to contact twin check, they turned the union which Chopa can do nothing in anybody who's just here. They did go warning it to sit on which can do not show in. I can't answer and tell it, Jamgun which tene dongserim buje jaje kongi tene shachim nani kiranzo tamche tene dorsim tene ngaranzo dunjun buje dorsim ladute nyame chena yabo yores kannani tene kenamba tene nyame chi yunzendo tene insare titi kama ngaranzo lama ya chi bangaran dunjun tersare tinani dongse tene ngaro buje kunne dorsim go wangso pe mege yapo tene shiwayin te jabji dunjun buji kunjan la tobre ngalo chudim kawa jabji dunjun buji kunjan la kawa yongso ko niga ke wang long chizum topson tene la wala dun se chizum buji kunjan toba de wang de topson de wang toba zamji ge me se ge cham de ne nyendu yaku shi ja shi ta ne dosun te tanda pardo ina ngara dosun ge ginchen te ma sha tene ni ma ta bor shi yong yo te indi ka ginchen tele tene ta wang kur chok tam ja shi ta che so wang kur ju ge tene ta chekin de ina 교쇼데 년도 상화된 지들고 디딩하는 디딩이 캔나발아 왕이 그들을 마도게 원이 그 똑같은부터 당연히 뭐 일명문도 기바 상기 공부터에 가가 예 중요하기 때문에 돈되게 되고 된다니가 말 디딩이다 화고 뭔가다 니다다 배도지 선배 고미 나한테 드리셔게 다 책임 수바디 배치 유에 디딩이 그러나 캔나바 탐지가 고 왕국인되게 왕제 꿀지 조사를 말해 산나다 대인들가 차이팅 타만 되거든 상대와 저 인테 대인들도 되는 잡으지만 탐지게 그거 버래 대인들 그만 들으지 다 원고링 그 말이 들으시고 살았어 봉나 사도 봉지잖아 로직을인가 사도 엄바들 사도 디바
To begin with, one needs to have an understanding of what empowerment itself is, and in this regard, one needs to understand what so you have the Lama bestowing empowerment and Lamas or students receiving empowerment. So what are the qualifications that the Lama bestowing empowerment needs to be endowed with, right? What are the qualifications, so to speak, for a Lama who is bestowing empowerment? Many great masters, such as Riksin Jigme Lingpa, the previous Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel, Yeshe, Dorje, and others, have explained the qualifications of such a master in terms of best, middling, and lesser. So. The best possible, the highest possibly qualified guru, the middling qualified, and the lesser qualified, the minimum level of qualifications needed. So the most highly qualified kind of guru who would grant empowerment would be someone who has the highest level of realization, someone who is realized and brought to full fruition the practice of Dharma Dhatu, the intrinsic nature of all things, someone who has realized that in full and basically reached enlightenment, realized enlightenment, someone like Guru Rinpoche, the Buddha. Middling would be someone who, in that regard also the Guyagarbha Tantra describes this kind of caliber of master. To paraphrase, the Guyagarbha Tantra states, such a master has fully realized or made fully manifest the view of inseparable purity and equality, and also perfected all types of meditation. Basically, they're a Buddha, they're fully enlightened. The middling type, the middling level of qualification for a master who is bestowing empowerment is that, okay, they might not be fully realized, they might not be fully enlightened yet, but they have realized, they have properly realized the inseparability of purity and equality, the highest view. They have brought that, they've manifested that to some degree, and as such they have attained what we call one of the noble levels. So they've attained one of the 10 bhumis, the levels to enlightenment, or one of the 4 types of Vidyadhara states. So at the very least they've attained the path of seeing, the first bhumi, which means they've directly realized the true nature of things. What are the minimum qualifications required for a master bestowing empowerment? The minimum qualifications are that, okay, this master might not have, this master might not be a Buddha, they might not be fully enlightened, they might not also have directly realized the intrinsic nature of things, the inseparability of purity and equality. However, they are well established on the path of practice, and they have engaged in relevant retreats and fulfilled the requisite mantra recitation activity and so on practices in a retreat setting as set out in the relevant scriptures. So these are the 3 levels of qualifications required that need to be, at least one of these level of qualifications needs to be fulfilled by anyone bestowing empowerment. So in my case, today I'm bestowing an empowerment on you. In my case, I'm certainly not the best kind of empowerment bestowing master. I'm not the middling either. I certainly don't have direct realization of the intrinsic nature, direct realization of the inseparability of purity and equality. However, I do fulfill the lesser type of qualifications. I have I have completed the relevant retreat practices. I've completed the relevant mantra recitation and activity practice and so on. As set out in the scriptures. Like I mentioned the other day, I completed a year-long Vajrasattva retreat. I practiced this sadhana of Vajrasattva in retreat intensively for a year. I fulfilled the requisite mantra recitation, which is 400,000 recitations of the 100-syllable mantra. I actually did 500,000. And I also completed 2,500,000 of the shorter mantra, Om Mudra Sato A. Of course, within a year-long period, you could actually complete many more mantra recitations, but I was also performing the ritual and all the other aspects of the ritual. So in formal sessions, 2 long sessions, 2 main long sessions each day. In terms of who I received the empowerment for this practice from, I received it from Chininobu Rinpoche, who is the same master that Kyabgun Tralit Rinpoche received the empowerment and transmissions from. And I've heard from you how Kyabgun Tralit Rinpoche received this empowerment and transmission from Chininobu Rinpoche and then brought it back and passed it on to to you guys, his students at the time, and encouraged you to practice it and uphold this practice. I also received this empowerment personally from Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, the previous Dudjom Rinpoche. I received actually the entire collection of teachings of Dudjom Lingpa and also Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje himself from Dudjom Rinpoche when I was quite young, and then again those cycles of teachings from Trini Nobo Rinpoche. I am a holder and practitioner of the Dudjom Tessa lineage, and those are two of the masters who I received those transmissions from. So to say again, since I have completed a year-long intensive retreat on this very Vajrasattva sadhana, and since then I have continued to practice it on a daily basis without break. That being the case, I do fulfill, of course, not the best set of qualifications, nor the middling. I don't have direct realization of the intrinsic nature of purity and equality, and so on. However, I do fulfill this lesser set of qualifications, and in this way, I am qualified to bestow on you this empowerment of the Guru Vajrasattva. That's all.
Oh yeah, Neta. Wang Nanginga Lamatila, Sinita, and this go, Wang Tobago, Wang Pinyanse Yabu. That Tamati and the Nanyanse, down and I'll get up, Nyanse Yabu, that the Indugala, that get him down to the Getaka showing, but the Yabu Jase, or Nyansoya was in the Jase, the Indugala, teacher, that cannot Lama Wong shoot the Wong singing the Lama Wong Sugu to the time with the shooting and over the Indigenous and Jigdrel Mare. The Kona Lama dear, Tampo Taje Chigoyore, Malanzo, Yutsonala, Tamba Tango Lama Talakeva, Pardo Lama, Ten like a Sumba Concha, Lava Keva, you with the Diana Lantundo, Sentine, Jimmy with the Sonjado, the Indukana, Namala Tatsea Poche, Losun getting with that, the Majuna, Imangatu, Tajigorma, the Chiga Majene, one shouldn't take money. Indukana, and the Tango Lama, Taja Lama, the Yapuche, to Corona Church, and you didn't do that window. Lama Tian country redo, Juba country, the Toba country redo, Tidachi and Lama Tia Tadice. In a part of Lama, the Netel like him, the Lama Rang Tensa Manja, Lami Tuta Mingava Jenny, Sana Dorjita, to take with Tamsi and Navy Goni, until the Nego, the Netamting Nepa. The Super Lama going to love like Yava, the Lami Sunga Machine Rangi should to me. The name Chingone Raptu not make a chini get the baton to what Tamaina and Chingone Partugan so true Magoa. Well, the decision to buy it in go away. Did the Canada, Chance to take in a Lama Target and Treasure and Michette, and Michette, and it is a Caron to the thing like I say, Mari. The Indican Caron condition of Donna. Once again, the Tokyo, so take me, Maranzo make Lama Tia top of the Tembazitan, Loma Tamukuta Tamang, Chambuyo Kenchi Chuna. They want the Tokyo Remato, Lama la top of Mena. Lama want to go about it. Yeah. Loma Tapamanayam, then got a Pumbasha Samchita to Chuka, Tunzanjiki, want to go about it. Think you can let a teeny corrected, and you can begin to Lama Lama Nikati, Tunda Tembachigo, that thing you can dance around one Pemongo, Howard and Nazo Boba Mitan, Drupa made the pair one like over it, once you do the Tamjiship, that dance on tea, report me. Yana Solinare, Tavan Solinare, that's like the Euro America, so you know, one sugar to Tamje, that they want to get me Moshi, don't want to let me take to come up into the one take our show. In the once again, the patch, not chimbering on it, let me charge him with comments a ray, Lama Topa Debajita, Loma Tebaji to a Munigi, some image of the nation of Chimboche. Then Lama Toba me, Loma at the Bata Tamsing Continent, Chilalo Nicalanti, Pendular Halway, no educating in Yanga in the year. The day you come out in Sutola, Manchester of Chicoris. Talenta Mai Mao by in account of one to Sugar and Tresam Congress.
So, as I've just said, when empowerment is given and empowerment is received, in terms of the teacher or the master bestowing the empowerment, they absolutely must be endowed with a degree of realization or a degree of accomplishment, right? They must have fulfilled these, yes, they must be qualified in the ways I set out. At the very least, as I said, at the very least, they must have completed the required amount of mantra recitation for the empowerment being given. Ideally, they should have done much more than that. They should have, ideally, they would have a realization of the intrinsic nature, or even be fully enlightened. But at the very least, they must have completed the required mantra recitation in a retreat setting. Really, to when we say they must have completed the required mantra recitation. In combination with that, then they should also have trained in the generation stage and the other aspects of that practice. So in short, those are the qualifications or the qualities that the teacher bestowing empowerment must be endowed with in order to make empowerment possible. From the student side, because it's not just the teacher who needs to possess certain qualities, the student receiving empowerment also needs to possess certain qualities. One of these is that they need to examine the teacher and be skilled in examining the teacher. The great master Jigdrel said, a student needs to first of all be skilled in examining the teacher. Then they need so at the outset, they need to be skilled in examining the teacher. After that, they need to be skilled in following the teacher. And finally, they need to be skilled in emulating the teacher's own realization. A student who proceeds like that will flourish. So first of all, at the outset, you need to be skilled in examining the teacher. At the very least, you should do this for a few days, right? Ideally much longer and quite extensively, but at the very least you should examine a teacher for a few days, observe their behavior, their conduct, what they're teaching, how authentic their teachings seem to you, what lineage they hold, where they come from, all of that you need to investigate and check them out for yourself. Once you've then examined them and decided to follow them, then you need to follow them properly, which means you need to keep the commitments that you've accepted, the samaya commitments and so on that you've accepted, observe those, don't break them, maintain your faith, and so on. Finally, you need to be skilled in emulating the teacher. How do we emulate the teacher? We do that by engaging in practice. Through practice, then we come to develop the teacher's own qualities within ourselves, right? The best outcome would be that we practice to the degree that we actually come to see the truth of reality, the truth of the intrinsic nature and manifest realization within ourselves. At the very least, though, we should be sure that as we engage in practice, we do so with a correct understanding of the way things are and don't fall into more confusion. So all of this is the student's responsibility. I won't say much more about that. You need to, yes, examining the teacher and so on is something that you need to do from your own side. That's your responsibility. The teacher's responsibility is to fulfill the qualifications and so on that I explained already. So, in short, when giving an empowerment, you have the teacher giving the empowerment, you have the students receiving the empowerment. They both need to fulfill certain, they both need to come to the empowerment with certain qualities. They need to fulfill certain causes and conditions in order to make empowerment possible, to allow it to take place. Otherwise, empowerment actually can't take place. Just enacting an empowerment ritual is not enough to bring empowerment about. Just chanting the empowerment manual, placing a ritual vase on someone's head and so forth isn't actually going to make empowerment happen. These days, empowerments are given here, there and everywhere. This is especially a Tibetan and Bhutanese habit. Tibetans and Bhutanese love to receive empowerment. If an empowerment is announced, then hundreds of people will flock there without a second thought to receive it. And this habit is spreading like contagion in Western countries and other countries, Taiwan also, Taiwan, America here, and so on. There aren't too many people here today, so that's something, but it is, that sort of habit is spreading. Of course, empowerment is something extremely blessed and extremely sacred. It's a very sacred procedure. But like I said, when empowerment is given, certain causes and conditions need to be present. The guru needs to have a degree of realization, and the student needs to have faith and pure perception. Otherwise, empowerment can't really take place, and even if it's given, it could end up doing more harm than good. So please keep these points in mind now, and also in the future when you consider receiving empowerment, other empowerments.
Oh yeah, Nita, Chidang go one second, Sashi, but I want to shoot you down on down the nation, that 1 second the Tobayina, some of the good one. Some of the Hago out the Chibit the one, the Mepajal had the Hago out the Gishio Mare. The Indukana Sanaki got in our record. The Indukana goes at an Alcavana to settle got in our one Mepajit, not got the Cavalry. Tanda Wong, though the Tebay Baguna, Tangam them by Elme, Tangam them by Elme, Manguj Labrade. That Tangman danger them, Tangam them by Elme, the Yamne condition where it's a Tambo Wong got Yamnation or Tangam them by Elme. Then it won the top of it, Tangam them by Elme, Lam did in Gongula, Rawang Topato, Tamarana, Chochin Topana, Keranso, and get them on a visit, organizing up in Australia, you can visit to Puma, visit Matulunga, they won't show me. The Kanta, visit the Australia, left over, Petina sing one the top of the Sanga Lam did any carrying the Zorinki, Lam down to the subject, Gong Chopa, the Kala, one thing, Pemiki Ketch over a Sanga Goshu to the one Sanga, one tuna, the Patakyo, purchase at your in some material such. Then Papa to Antine, Doji Sempa second Titine. She was she do the not to subject household and she do not do it. That's some of the ship. That's the moment of the Doji Sempa to it. Doji Sempa, you do Shivala in a concession. You do Doji Sempa the Nicaragua, some in book or the Gindu travel to the other. Tea in Happy Consent, Doji Sempa. Doji Sempa Latin, in a ram drum at a mongo, she was told on the grounds of Kazuli, Highland Jetty through Dushan. In concept Java Shitol to Dore, teacher Dusha in Dorje symbol to Dore, Tini, Tea Kanta, Dorje symbol in a Panjaroatan, not Dawatam, in a Topong to Kiri, Tobakatine, Mitomucho Gomba in the Janget in a Chilab symbol in the Ned, in Dorje symbol in Jala, the Pitita water passes away, soon in a rangi Devatan, Tuba, Penangaramina. Vajrasattva samaya manupala is the distinct swap to what the Jigdrel Pazatawata, the Jigdrel, any when you get Ravilat Ranga took me to Dodges and Goman, the Tijan name can give us some Kimishavare. Oh, I think that Dodges and Juntation, I give you someone which I don't show. Our Mongo get in a shake your cousin Yamani in a chicken shake. I bet a sign and theaton that computer and doesn't compute and tea don't show us a word. And that tea in your mom was Shella and circular energy. That into Tamjig, you hold the covers and one of the 3 months that Dodges to go on the US.
So as I just said, empowerment is something extremely blessed, extremely precious and sacred. It is the entryway to Vajrayana. How do we enter into, how do we kind of make our initial entrance into Vajrayana, the vehicle of secret mantra? Well, it's by receiving empowerment. So in this way, empowerment is like the doorway or the gateway into the Vajrayana, the path of secret mantra. Without receiving empowerment, one is not able to then engage in Vajrayana practice. The deity yogas involving deity visualization, mantra recitation, samadhi, and so forth. And without engaging in those practices, one cannot come to realize the consummate view of the great inseparability of purity and equality. That view that we talked about in a lot of detail over the past 2 nights, right? So we talked a lot about this inseparability of purity and equality, but how do we come to actually realize that? We talked about its qualities and unique qualities, but how do we come to realize that and bring that into our own experience? Well, the first step of doing that is receiving empowerment, like I've just said. Empowerment being the entryway into Vajrayana. Because one thing empowerment does is it gives you permission, it authorizes you, so to speak, to engage in the path of tantric practice, the path of the two stages of generation and completion. And engaging in this path enables you to realize directly for yourself the great inseparability of purity and equality, the purity and equality of all things. So in this way, empowerment gives you authorization to engage in this practice that then can transport you or deliver you to this state of realization. It's a bit like receiving a visa. Say when you invited me here to Australia and I agreed to come, well then I had to go and request a visa, right, at the embassy. And it was only once I got the visa that I could then travel here to Australia. So empowerment is a bit like a visa, we could say, right? It permits you to then travel somewhere. All of this is to say that empowerment is extremely sacred, an extremely sacred and precious procedure or occurrence. It has enormous benefits. Just by receiving empowerment, our misdeeds and obscurations are purified, our obstacles are cleared away, we receive blessings and so on. In terms of receiving this specific empowerment of the deity Vajrasattva, well, the deity Vajrasattva embodies all of the 100 deities of the peaceful and wrathful mandalas. Yesterday, in the previous days of teaching, I mentioned we were talking about the Guyagaba Tantra that is based on the magical matrix of infinite peaceful and wrathful deities. All of those infinite deities and mandalas can be condensed into the 100 deities, the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And those 100 deities can be condensed in the sense that they're embodied within Vajrasattva himself, the sovereign deity Vajrasattva. So to receive empowerment into sovereign deity Vajrasattva and to engage in the practice of Vajrasattva is something exceptionally blessed, exceptionally powerful. Because Vajrasattva embodies all infinite deities in this way, simply by seeing Vajrasattva's enlightened form, by encountering his enlightened form, by hearing his 100-syllable mantra, and if we go a step further and actually recite that mantra for ourselves and engage in the practice of Vajrasattva, we receive enormous benefits, really extraordinary benefits. Just like I said, by encountering Vajrasattva's enlightened form, his enlightened speech in the form of the 100-syllable mantra and so on, his enlightened wisdom mind, that is the non-conceptual state of wakefulness. By virtue of this, our misdeeds, our obscurations will be purified and we will receive so many other benefits. You also requested me, when requesting me to bestow this empowerment, you also asked me to teach on Vajrasattva, and that we will do tomorrow. So I will say more about Vajrasattva tomorrow. I won't go on today. But just to sum up, receiving empowerment is an extremely precious and sacred thing. Like I've said, it has these many benefits, and it is the entryway into Vajrayana practice that then enables us to gain realization for ourselves.
Shini wang sikini kaase minchi ki wang tuchi ki dabas la re. Minchi ki wang sikini kana kana ngazo sabun sara tabai na. Te sabun sara ya kegiri wa yap pe mi yap kegiri. Te ma jo na ding ding kegiri. Tanta na ma jana ko chutang de anzom sompa je yi ni ko tos kien kro wa. O te minchi ki wang sa re. Te tuchi ki te tika sa ta te ki te gyapten te tikya ne. Te gomdang gom su de la ko yi. Te ndu kana 다 왕디 풀위게 되는 게 겨우 rabdowe no lama topo topo ranga tepata lenchun zum tengi jena Wang Kurmata, Chichiga, and Lam Topa Julasha, Tangam, Deva, Yermikoba, Undu Shapin, Penna, Mamatine Karabarana, into Jalo, Indapudina Savata, Within Sanji, Wang Kuru, and Neko, someone to one person, total thing in the position. Wang Kuranya, Chichiga, Gom Jambo, Chichiga, Gomo, Yabatamo, Topa to Kiminea, and Shakir. Yang kashi gunjung tene guru jambang shitsa ngala soba tene wang kurung dikanate wang dungi ishi yang gyula shari nguni ke yidang ke shal so o ya tindu ke tene karaba nguni ke mi ke sa tumbo la tene ke kobang jodong tene chumi yore te kunje longze rangjum ke tuiso ya wang kur dikana yidang ke la ngui su tene loma tamze mi ke tongbiyo ke tene karaba jimbiyo chi dikana la riri ne loma riri ke jizu loma tingdwa Lama ke sik, lama kurang zo tong, anang ki tingkul nawa tene kun pada zu tanji ki ngoni ngurang zo na, tane ki inji kari man dance ga kina, madang kanto tanji ki tindigi kine, tindigi chumpi ngar nyama kalba sangzo tindra yang chumma yor. Ya tene ta tindra za mayi na yang, tene wang di kursa ke jesu, tene rang la, tagi sigi na xin, ta tama te promotion toke na xin jege, wena visa toke na xin jege, ta lama la tamsi ki mayam, chwe la lo ta ma shu, Oya tinda chung sabba tini wani dorje sabbi ke pagdom na ngabda na tini marang suna tiyu ke pagbi ke tini gyus chewa tang, chindak chewa tang, saagnu je tab sabba ngi nyugui kiyam garwa, titi ka charwa je pab tini nganzo nganzo dhruya dal tiyan ngi kiyam gari. Tiyan di kana sabba di me bhamchi ke charwa pab nanda, nima sha nanda, gangsi nanda ku yeyi mara. Tiyan di sabba di tab sabbi je su tini pagdom na ngabda na tini nipa cha tang, tēn rāng lā tēne karabā ngā kāngi ngā tāngyam tēmbā yermē, tōgu tāngyam tēmbā yermē rī shēpa yō, tā zōgwa shimbu kī tāwā tātū tāngyam tēmbā yermē rī, tāngyam tēmbā yermē tē tā sāngi kī gōmbā tē tī tē, kī 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 pēntab yōng rēs. Wāng sāki, mī chī kī wāng sāki rē, sābun tāpa tōgu rēs, tāpa tōgu pē, example. Ya tēne, lām ñam nī chī kī tēne, pē na chū tā dō chōng sāng mā tē, tēne yā kīyam rō.
Empowerment is described as being that which ripens. The scriptures talk about ripening empowerment, because empowerment is similar to the process of planting or sowing a seed in the ground. Empowerment, sows a seed in the student's mind stream. And if, having received empowerment, we then engage in practice properly, accordingly, then it's a bit like once you've sown a seed in the soil, you then keep the seed watered and provide it with enough sunshine and so on. You give it the causes and conditions to grow, and then that seed will grow and develop into a strong and fruitful plant, right? Empowerment is a process of ripening, or it is that which ripens. In addition to empowerment, we have the liberating instructions, what are called the liberating instructions. These support the empowerment and nurture that process of ripening. If the student receiving empowerment really has deep-rooted faith, pure perception, and they have karmic connections with the teachings from previous lives, if they have that degree of fortune, then it's possible that just by receiving empowerment, they can gain full realization, such that when they sit down to receive the empowerment, they are without realization, and by the end of the empowerment, they are endowed with realization. So there have been students, Vajrayana students like this in the past. One such student was King Indrabhuti. Just by receiving it, he was of such a high caliber of a student that just by receiving empowerment, he attained full realization. So when the nature of things was pointed out to him as part of the empowerment process, he realized that fully right there and then, and gained what we call simultaneous realization and liberation. So the whole process for him was over by the end of the empowerment. Some of Guru Rinpoche's 25 heart disciples were similarly blessed. They received, or rather they developed direct realization during the empowerment process. They had visions of the deities and attained high levels of realization just during the empowerment process. This is what's possible when the student is of that caliber. Similarly, during Longchenpa's time, when he gave empowerment, often his students would actually see the deity they were being empowered with. They would see that deity directly. And during the descent of blessings, which is an important part of the empowerment, during the descent of blessings, the students would perceive the given deity, an individual form of the given deity descending onto the head of each student in the assembly. So such things are possible and do happen. At the very least, though, even if one is not as fortunate enough to have such experiences, at the very least, by receiving empowerment from a qualified teacher and receiving it with faith and trust, one is then granted authorization to henceforth engage in the related practices of deity and mantra, the Vajrayana practices of deity and mantra, which enable you to gain realization of the consummate view of the inseparability of great purity and equality. So this is from the Dzogchen perspective, right? That from the Dzogchen perspective, the consummate view is the inseparability of great purity and equality, which is what we talked quite a lot about in the previous days. So by receiving empowerment, at the very least, you are granted permission to engage in the tantric practices that will enable you to gain such realization. So just to reiterate, the process of ripening empowerment is like sowing a seed, and once you've received empowerment, if you apply yourself to practice, that process of engaging in the path is like watering the seed, nurturing the seed, so that it can grow into realization of the state of great purity and equality. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, Wangi singing over the condition, one second the condition is a tango day, 1 second get on that day in Sanskrit, Abi Kansas. Abi Sana Mumbas, the Kansas, not in a Torwam, the Nicaragua, Lupitan, the Kala, the Abi Kansas, the Abi Kansas, the Kala, Abi singing the Nicaragua, Aranjana. This was Lupa, Kansas and Torah, like Abi Kansas. The Abi Kansas again, Wombat and Torah was the Wombats again, the Lupitan. Tansanata Peki, Chuni, Tanim, the Yermi, which Musum to Tempatan. Oh, yeah, Gombi kitchen, Musum to Lupik and the Wombas, Kansas again, the Torbitan. Torbitan. Dorje kansana diti pasha tumje Dorje la Kansas la tendi kala abisina ne indise war Kansas na chinap jupi ke tonte Kansas na rangi juki sheji te bala nyomong pe te bala so be ne dona sa dan longi parche tumje Dorje de abi Kansas de kala chinap lupatang parche tan diti Dorje tonte tendi kala oni ge lama chetan de ba chigla lama chetan de ba chi wang shu ne Gomlam Gomia would jump to China Sangi Kovanta, the Pemigazim, Halever, T. Yashe. In the Matun Nayam, one the shoe, Lama Tamzik the Mayam, one the shoe Shavayena, and when you get in a rank detail Tabatan, or yet the net salt Zobatan, Barsi Shivatan, the pension, thing under perform with the Jango in the Ganya, Lama Tamango in the Gala, think all like house with Jinsi danger, Diana and one should you go, Tamzil from Pilasi, some time in the team, I don't know. Ankiel Tabata, Chujong and Chadro, and Ankiel Tapan, Chujong and Chadro. And they get the Abi Kansas, the County, Mombatan, Torbic, and Abis and Mumba, Onsum to Chinap Juba, Kansas and Toro. I attained the Kama Tundela, Abi Kansas, Yagarka, Abi Kansas, Abisina, Mombare, Kansas, Torba, the Abi Kansas Ladris.
So, what is the meaning of the actual meaning of the word empowerment? In Sanskrit, the word empowerment is abhikensa. So Abi means, the first part of this word, abi, means to pour or to present. And kensa means to scatter or to dispel. So this is the kind of the source word for what we call empowerment, abhikensa, Sanskrit. So the first part of this word, abhi, means to pour or to present, to make visible. To make what visible, or to sort of to pour what? The view, essentially, the view of inseparable purity and equality. The second part of the word, kensa, means to dispel or to scatter. So referring to the fact that empowerment dispels or scatters our misdeeds, our obscurations, and our habitual tendencies. So this is what bestowing and receiving empowerment does. It pours into our mind stream, or makes manifest to us the natural state of things, the view of inseparable purity and equality, and it scatters and dispels the misdeeds, obscurations, and habitual tendencies that are obscuring that from us. The first part of the word, abhi, also has the connotation of pouring blessings into one's being, sort of filling one up with blessings. And to reiterate, the second part of the word, kensa, means to scatter or dispel the obscuration of the afflictions and the obscuration of the cognitive obscuration, so that the two types of obscuration. In short, all the factors that prevent us from attaining the stages and paths to enlightenment. This being the case, since that is the nature of empowerment, when a qualified guru and a qualified student bestow and receive empowerment, the best possible outcome is that just through the process of giving and receiving empowerment, then the enlightened state, the natural state of things, is manifested, realized, and whole job done just by receiving empowerment. However, even if we're not at that level, not able to receive empowerment in that way, there are still many benefits to receiving empowerment. By receiving empowerment, receiving it properly, with faith and so on, then our mind stream becomes imbued with blessings, and our obscurations and misdeeds are purified to some degree. And if we then, having received empowerment, we maintain the commitments, because empowerment comes with certain commitments. If we maintain those commitments and maintain faith and don't fall prey to wrong view and so on, then we accrue many benefits, just like I've explained. It's because of these benefits that the Tibetans are always running after empowerment. So in a sense, they're quite smart, actually. It's because they recognize the benefits, the power of empowerment, that they are always running to receive empowerments. Where they fall short is that they don't always observe the commitments that are taken during those empowerments. And then it can be a bit like a dog trying to jump, trying to follow a lion, and falling down an abyss. That's
Tende kala ta wang de za chimbor de wang ge topchi ge gyun da gen shi sen yo so wang top dang de kan ta wang kan ri top re lama go wang kun ne kan ri top ge la na topchi ge gyudan de ne gyu da gen shi se yo res gyu ni se ge ne kan ra na chung den ge gyudan henjik je bi gyu se gyu na ba ye chidang ta gyu no ngo ba zo na shi ne youtube gen ji kan gen ji Anju nga sa tatin raman mokta yewa mokta shekyo nga ra so tsama namdra so tang ngoba tsu sa tatin pa sha ne tanda de shi na gyunyi se gyunyi de ka sa na tsungden gi gyu se da hinjik je bi gyu se ni yare ta tsungden gi gyu se na ka sa na nga ra so mi je la na pungbu nga su gu pungbu so ro shin du na ba shi pungbu nga yi ne nga ra so la za lung tigli yare Tindu kana tatsa na yang than ne de lung la yang than ne de ne kraba sa lung thili yang than ne de tin ngaran zo pungbu nga la yang ne kraba ngaran zo gi ne jalwa ringe gala ne de ta tin na ne zo de ne semla sim gi ngo de ne kra ngaran zo sangje de ti ne ngaran zo ne chi ge mi shen da de te ba de dan de ngue ba de dan sa de sue ba de de da mai ba ngaran zo mi tan che la ne ngaran zo gi ne sa lung thili e dan da den de 어디 이제 단지 갈진 두된 dorje 리톱 내에서 다 갈진 두된 미 리티 왕슈다 야고를 막 하이 리래 왕슈다 기타 리 야고 말했어 거기 그냥 왔다 들어도 온 토게 말 어예 근데 파스가 마마 예생에서 아주 밀 잡아야 됐을 때 변조가 왕 토픽이 가봐야 한다고 요마 인디가 왕 토픽이 미디 갈진 두된 dorje 리톱 세대 나라는 미 리티 가면 사실 거래 인디 나랑 짜가 롱다 틀리서 탐절아 이 시기네 찹돼요 어야 티캡돼 티티데치데 티티조 디가나나 나랑 심진 탐제 있죠 부다 내저스기로 다키 인지케데이나 어야 대신님보도 예비 준생기 되는 나라 왕다 차이 아쉽게 대인도 tel라 충전기 교사 충분된 비교스인데 그랑신 나랑 미끼 오디 간라야 티 대신님보도 냠도 요 대인도 tel라 충전기 교사 되네 렌지 TV 교수가 충전기 교대요 렌지 TV 교대면은 야왕 통부 말 렌지 TV 교대가 라마 왕 요대게 냠내 요대게 되네 왕기 지바 요대게 왕 꾸르게 철len시 되게 근데 정도나 렌지 TV 겐스게 렌지 TV 교수가 라마 규니나 되바이나 왕디 규니나 되나 충전기 교수 걔랑랑 삼절이 요대바지 렌지 TV 교수가 라마를 요바지 라마타 니 대한디 갈라 대왕 토큐기 되네 게 알아서 얘기긴도 있지 가서 뉴트는 지리어레스 다다 겐시가 제일 인스턴트 송쇼.
So that was about the essence or the nature of empowerment itself. Now, how do we actually attain empowerment? Not just receive empowerment, but actually sort of attain empowerment. In order to attain empowerment, we could say receive, but actually receive it properly. In Tibetan, there's two different verbs. So I'll just say attain. Maybe that's clearer. So how to actually attain empowerment? To attain empowerment, we need essentially 2 causes and 4 conditions. We could explain this in a more detailed way in terms of, say, 6 causes, 4 conditions, 5 results, and so on, as cause and condition is often presented in the Abhidharma teachings and so on. But to explain it in a more concise way, we can say that in order to actually receive empowerment, actually attain empowerment, we need to have 2 causes and 4 conditions. So what are these 2 causes and 4 conditions? First of all, the 2 causes. They are the inherent cause and the circumstantial cause. So what is the inherent cause? The inherent cause refers to the fact that we all have the 5 aggregates. We all have form, our physical form. We have feelings, we have perception, conditioning factors, and consciousness. We all have subtle channels, winds, and essences within our physical body. And all of these are filled with the deities. They are naturally within our subtle channels, winds, and essences. The deities naturally abide. They're spontaneously present there. Likewise, our 5 aggregates of form and so on. They are by their very nature the 5 Buddha families, deities of the 5 Buddha families. The same goes for our mind. Our mind, our basic awareness, is by its very nature the deity. This is not something that is contrived. It's not something that is created. It's not something that is like a state that is kind of given to us. This is simply how it is. This is the uncontrived, unfabricated nature of our 5 aggregates, our subtle body, our mind. This is what's meant when the Vajrayana teachings describe human beings as being endowed with the 6 elements. I talk about humans having the Vajra body endowed with the 6 elements. This refers to the fact that we have a physical body endowed with the subtle channels, winds, and essences, which are infused with the deity, which are the nature of the deity. Our mind is the nature of primordial wisdom. This is a very special support that enables us to really attain empowerment, Vajrayana empowerment, in a way that beings with other types of bodies cannot. There are beings in the God realms, right, and the demigod realms. They do not have this Vajra body endowed with the 6 elements, and as a result they cannot attain empowerment in the way that we can. So this human body that we have is extremely precious, extremely valuable in this way. In short, this the first of these 2 causes, the inherent cause, refers to the fact that all sentient beings have Buddha nature, or Sugata Garbha. Being endowed with Buddha nature allows us to attain empowerment. So that's the first of the 2 causes, right? The inherent cause. The second cause is the circumstantial cause. This refers to the presence of a qualified guru. So a qualified guru who is endowed with the lineage of the empowerment, who holds the transmissions, who is properly trained, who has a degree of realization, and so on. So when these 2 causes come together, then one is able to attain empowerment, when in addition one has the 4 conditions, which is what I'll explain now.
Sawang Sherwang de Melon, Sawang Rinpoche, Sheki Dote, Tata Shamere, the one Kurgre, Tinsu Wang de Z, and Telatine Raleigh, Tindu around the Jigdrel, Lama, and Jake Wang de Z, and the Tirimbash, Jigdrel, Ten Gorman, Tendo Tambotin, Lama, one take each other down in the own to Chevere, Lama get in a Pumbatam to the Harke, and a Pumbatam, Ten Tansu Harke. That in Chingilap, in it, I want to sing the Chingilap Gazette, Dornatine, Chingilap down there, Chidang, the Chingilap lesson in a Mahimba. Kurang, the King Good Kurang, and Yitam the last Sunday, Tita, the Rangas Lama, Ada Yemet to Sunday, until Salvia. Then T could do one could be neck of Lama Corona, Yitam Dorje and Bayard, Tangarai, Sal, count to Chicken, Lama Sorata, Ranga Yitam Garangi, more the Shang Bungala, Titan, Tinesa, Mayat, Council to Keranzo and a Tom Sixemba. Guessing over Keranzo Tamsia, eaten the last side you continue. Pumbigo one, Gela, someone, Sherwan, so on, which reverse the Kurkiti, the name, Bunina doing a couple, Jacus and Tina, do your rest. Jacu, a yellow song. Tingy, something you could not think to be. Jebicus and a lady to be a shortcut, Jacus.
One more note about the second of these 2 causes. So we have the inherent cause and the circumstantial cause, right? So the circumstantial cause refers to the presence of a qualified guru, like I just explained. But in addition to that, also the requisite tantric substances, specific material substances are also necessary as a medium to transmit empowerment. So those are a part of the circumstantial cause. These substances refer to, in terms of the 4 empowerments, the vase for the vase empowerment, skull cup for the wisdom knowledge empowerment, a ritual mirror for the secret empowerment, and a crystal for the 4th word empowerment. These substances need to be present, and they need to be consecrated consecrated during the empowerment preparation, which is what Rinpoche was doing earlier during the first session, right? And they are then sort of charged, so to speak, as mediums for bestowing the empowerment. For instance, to take the ritual vase through which the vase empowerment is bestowed. During the empowerment preparation, the master blesses the vase, but blesses in the sense that the master actually manifests the ritual vase, makes the ritual vase manifest into the mandala of the deity whose empowerment is going to be bestowed, inseparable with the lineage, with the root guru and the lineage gurus and so on. Likewise for the other empowerment substances. During the empowerment preparation, the guru, the master also visualizes themselves as the deity whose empowerment they're going to bestow. Visualizes in the sense they actually perceive or conceive of themselves as that deity. And during the empowerment process, the student is also required, to the best of their ability, to perceive themselves as the deity. So all of this pertains to the second of those two causes, the circumstantial cause. So from here on, I'm going to explain just briefly, because it's almost 9:30 and I haven't actually started the empowerment yet. So the four conditions. So the four conditions are the causal condition, the dominant condition, the focal condition, and the preceding condition. The causal condition refers to the fact that you, the student, you have Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the fiber of your being. You just haven't, that's how it is, you just haven't recognized it yet. You are self-arisen wakefulness. That's what you are, you just haven't recognized it. That's the first. The second condition, the dominant condition, refers to the fact that the guru is qualified, that they have a degree of realization, they've completed the requisite mantra recitation, and so on. The focal condition refers to the ritual substances such as the vase, the skull cup, and so on, that these are filled with the correct substances such as amrita and so on, and that those substances have been consecrated by the teacher. Then the preceding condition refers to the different stages of the empowerment being performed one after the other. Beginning with the distributing the ablution water, which we've already done, proceeding then to the next stage, which is dispelling the obstructors with the torma to the obstructors, and then beginning giving the vase empowerment, and following that the secret empowerment, and so on. So moving through all the stages of the empowerment one after the other. So each one leads successively to the next. This is the preceding condition. So now I'm going to explain in terms of I'm going to explain the lineage. I'm going to explain the lineage in terms of the threefold division of the wisdom lineage, the symbolic lineage, and the herd lineage of humans. So the wisdom lineage refers to the Dhammakaya Buddha Vajradhara, the Sambhogakaya Buddha Vajrasattva, and the Namanakaya Buddhas of the 5 families.
Yeah, Neta Gongyu Chana Dagil Hiam in the Kapsu, and then Garab Dorje, Mus Dorje Simbi Shal Yelvaris, Dorje Simbi Shal Dorje Wang, then Garab Dorjes, then Jalwazaris, and one in Dorje Simbo, Shal Javi, Shalton, Dorje Simbi, this year. That the church in another thing, the name Jalwazaris, the Jalwazai, the Shiris Naris, Shiris Sanajal Hunkaris, the Hunkaris and Guru Bushis.
So then we have the symbolic lineage. Lineage here is referring to the line of transmission, right? So the symbolic lineage or line of transmission starts with Garab Dorje. He received transmission directly from Buddha Vajrasattva. He then transmitted the teachings to Gyalpo Za, who also had direct visions of Buddha Vajrasattva. Gyalpo Za then passed the teachings to Shri Singha, who passed them to Hunkara, who passed them to Guru Rinpoche, and Guru Rinpoche then passed them on. So this is the line of transmission, the symbolic line of transmission.
Ini lo chen tene ngaram so na bero sana tene mari chin tene nya yana kumara tene topon kichung lo sa itebe ke ne nyen kires lo chen bero sana nya yana kumara mari chin chung ma chung ne nya yana kumara topon kichung lo na dunjung ko kuma ta
So then we have the oral transmission. I said the heard transmission before. Let's say the oral transmission. This began with the Dharma King Trison Detsen and his son Murup Sempo and so on. It then was passed on to Kachen Za, meaning Yeshe Tsogyal, Dakini Yeshe Tsogyal, from her to the great translator Verotsana, then to Marinchin June, then to Gyana Kumara, and from him to drop-in Kyochung Lotsawa. That's the line of what should I say? The oral line of transmission. Thank you.
Tene di jela tatter gi juba ni gore shigen ta di kami kai juba re ti ta tine ma ter gi juba jela te thadung den jung ba ingere sangaram tu samdan thadung den jung ba thadung den jung bi jela tin jigri shi dorje khona lakshana ande ya jiden midin tenze ongo khona de sai lama jiju kongo lama jiden tenze ongo yeten tenze ongo yeten te dujung kongo lama re tene te jela dunjum buje khona to tene dunjum buje jela buje tene ndro buje te tene ndro yote ha chu.
Then we can also talk about the line of transmission of the treasure teaching, right? The line of transmission of this practice in terms of it as a treasure teaching. In that case, the transmission goes as follows. It begins with the Heruka Dudjom Lingpa, was passed from him to one of his main students, Gyatun Tenzin Wampo, who then transmitted it to Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, who then transmitted it to his son, Trini Nobu Rinpoche, who then transmitted it to me. So that's the line of transmission.
Lama da Dorje Sempa yedme tu chubkyu de tene chashore lama sanje lama chu tishin lama gindin de kunji chebo la lama pasin heruka ase da gyudna te song jare tene ta ngaram so ke tene dubkyu thanje te lama dubkyu cha chi shu lama tiang tene gurun buji ngo dubkyu chi ta lama Dorje Sempa ngo dubkyu chi te ta ngaram lama Dorje Sempa ngo dubare 마시 구르르지 도지 sempa kepa kan sangi ro nigar sangi re tin ge kan la doji sempa de don khona thuke ta mol ko ne tikpa tawla wa kan chila bi jugle wa ta to bi shi jula je tu tu ke la wala so ta doji sempa re yende mango che te tin se re ne teme te rang sa wi la ma su yina no te ne te ne kar pa sangi doji sempa yin ne bi go ni do on de kan la te ne chila yo ko ju ta mo ju jo to bi ge te ne diores tendriores.
So I'll leave the explanation of empowerment here, and we will get started with the empowerment proper. In this practice, Vajrasattva is inseparable with one's guru, and to visualize or to conceive of the deity as being inseparable, identical with one's guru, is of great blessings, an extremely powerful and blessed approach. As the Tantras state, the Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, the Guru is the Blessed Sangha, the Guru is the doer of all, the great Heruka, the Guru who embodies all. So one's Guru does embody all deities. So in this way, when we practice, the deity is always inseparable from one's guru. So sometimes if we're practicing Guru Rinpoche, then we are visualizing our guru in the form of Guru Rinpoche. When we're practicing Vajrasattva, we are perceiving our guru in the form of Vajrasattva, and so on. Essentially, of course, there's no difference between Guru Rinpoche and Vajrasattva. They are both the Buddha. However, to take the form of Vajrasattva, the deity Vajrasattva, has a lot of blessings. Like I mentioned, there are immeasurable benefits to practicing Vajrasattva. He's a supreme method for purifying our obscurations, clearing away our misdeeds and obstacles. He's an extremely powerful catalyst for bringing about the realization of the true nature of things. So there are extraordinary benefits to practicing the Guru in the form of Vajrasattva. A lot of blessings to that. We now will begin the main part of the empowerment. So to begin, please all of you present a mandala.